Forget everything you think you know about programming languages. Seriously. Today, we're not talking about some hot new piece of tech. We're talking about a fundamental market disruption. A shift so big, it's moving from the world of code directly into the courtroom.
And you know, it all boils down to one very high-stakes question. Forget about features and performance for a minute. The real question you need to be asking today is this: is your AI legally survivable? Because for most companies out there, the answer is a shocking no.
So, what's the deal? What's the problem here? Well, it turns out we've all made a massive, kinda risky bet on our modern tech. The very tools we use to build the cloud, SaaS, and especially AI, they have this fundamental, hidden vulnerability baked right in.
And here it is. This is the ticking time bomb at the heart of so much of our tech. Languages like Python and Node.js are amazing for moving fast, I get it, but they come with a hidden cost. Unpredictable failures, those pesky memory leaks, and builds that you just can't perfectly reproduce. But the real killer, the most critical flaw, is that last one. They lack provable guarantees. You can test them, you can watch them all day long, but you can never, ever mathematically prove what they will or won't do.
And this is where things get really serious. In the world of AI, or finance, or healthcare, a random failure isn't just a bug that you can file a ticket for and patch later. No, it's a massive legal and financial liability just waiting to happen.
So how in the world do you solve a problem that's this fundamental? Well, you don't just tweak the old tools. You have to introduce a completely new paradigm. And that paradigm is built on Rust's superpower, determinism. It's not magic, by the way. Rust is just built for this from the ground up. Its compiler acts like this ruthless, relentless editor that catches whole categories of errors before your code even gets a chance to run. It forces a level of discipline that leads to incredibly predictable and reliable software.
And all that discipline leads you directly to this beautiful thing called determinism. And all that really means is you get the exact same result from the same input every single time. There's no randomness, no weird, unexpected behavior. It's predictable, it's provable, and it's repeatable. It is the absolute bedrock of trust. This slide really just lays it all out. We're looking at two completely different worlds of software. On one side, you've got the old way, monitoring. It's all reactive. It tells you what went wrong, after the damage is already done. In a courtroom, that's a pretty weak, we tried our best defense. But on the other side, you have the new world, enforcement. This is proactive. It lets you prove what could not possibly go wrong in the first place. In court, that's an ironclad, we proved it defense. Now, which one would you rather bet your entire company on?
So you see, this shift from monitoring to enforcement isn't just some nice new feature. It is a structural advantage so massive that it's leading to an inevitable takeover. It's not just creating new tools, it's completely replacing entire categories of old ones.
And what's the first domino to fall?
Oh yeah, the biggest and most critical market of them all, AI safety and liability. This is where the stakes are absolutely astronomical.
Rust just unlocks capabilities that are frankly non-negotiable in this space. I mean, think about it. Deterministic policy engines that ensure rules are always followed, verifiable execution paths so you can trace every single action, and evidence-grade audit logs that will actually stand up in court. These aren't just features on a checklist. They're the price of admission for building legally survivable AI.
And this same idea applies directly to the world of secure sandboxes. I mean, when you have AI agents or third-party plugins running code you don't trust, how do you contain that risk? How do you keep it from going haywire? The old tools like Docker, they're often way too heavy and insecure for this job. But Rust? It enables a totally new approach. These lightweight, WASM-native sandboxes. Think of them as these ultra-secure, hyper-efficient little cages that can run untrusted code without any risk to your main system. You can set deterministic, rock-solid limits on what they can use and what they can do, creating a true zero-trust environment. This isn't optional anymore. For the future of AI, it's mandatory.
And get this! The disruption is even happening right on developers' own machines with what we call local-first AI tooling. Let's be real. So many of our development tools have gotten bloated, leaky, and totally dependent on the cloud. Rust brings things back to basics, back to sanity. It compiles down to these small, efficient programs that just work, no internet required. This means you can have deterministic agents that behave predictably every time, and you get secure, reliable offline support. It's really about making our own tools robust and trustworthy again. And finally, this disruption hits the very heart of how we build and ship software, the CI/CD pipeline. You know, that whole automated assembly line that takes code from a developer's computer and gets it out into the world?
For way too long, this whole process has been this fragile mess of scripts and YAML files leading to builds that you can't even reproduce consistently. Rust completely transforms this into a high-trust enforcement engine. It allows for deterministic validation, truly reproducible pipelines, and it replaces those flimsy configuration files with actual executable policy engines written in code.
Okay, so we've gone through all the technical advantages, which is great, but now we have to talk about the real, honest-to-goodness game changer. This isn't just about better code, it's about a massive paradigm shift in compliance and, yes, in law.
And that brings us to the single most important idea in this entire explainer. Choosing to use Rust is no longer a technical decision made by your engineers. It's a strategic decision. It's a legal one made by your legal team.
So why is it a legal choice? Well, it comes down to three big reasons. First, audit survivability. When a regulator shows up, they want proof, not promises. Rust provides that mathematical proof. Second, evidence in court. Saying, well, we use Python is not a legal defense. But saying, we can prove our Rust system enforced these constraints, well, that is. And finally, risk mitigation. This is a whole new business model. You're not just selling software licenses anymore. You're selling legal defensibility and lower insurance premiums. And when you put all of this together, it creates an entirely new category. We're moving beyond vague terms like AI safety or monitoring. The new market is AI liability infrastructure. And listen, it's not a nice-to-have tool, it's the required foundational risk layer that everything else is going to be built on.
And please, don't think this is some far-off, futuristic prediction. This shift is happening right now. The market is at its tipping point, and really, the future is already here.
Let's look at a real-world example, just to make this concrete. SecuraMem. They call themselves the AI black box recorder. This isn't another dashboard or monitoring tool. No, it's a rust-hardened, fully air-gapped system designed to produce one thing: forensic-grade, court-admissible evidence for every single decision an AI makes.
This right here is the final test. This is the survivability test. This is the list of questions an auditor, an insurer, or even a judge is going to ask you. Can your old tools prove something could not happen? No. Are the logs immutable, impossible to change? Nope. Can it run fully isolated and air-gapped, completely off the internet? Absolutely not. A Rust-based system like SecuraMem answers yes to every single question. It passes the only test that truly matters.
So, the crucial point to take away from all this is this: AI liability infrastructure isn't a category that's just going to grow alongside the old tools. It's a category that replaces them entirely. Because the second the standard for safety becomes provable enforcement, anything less becomes an unacceptable liability. The takeover isn't just possible, it's inevitable.